we are learning about computer hardware maintenance. Right. Computer hardware maintenance. Computer hardware maintenance. So we are learning about how to maintain our computer system, and also when we have faults on the computer system, how to clear the faults. So that is the focus of our lecture for this afternoon. So I want you to come along with me as we go ahead in this lecture this afternoon. Now, I invite you to like this video by clicking the thumb up. Give us a thumb up, all right, so that we can have a share. So you can also share the video to others, like and share it. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, we encourage you to please do so. Now, the computer system is electronic device that utilizes hardware and software component to make it function well. Now, both hardware and software require maintenance, as you might know. So we need to maintain both hardware and software components. Now, sometimes the hardware develops some problems, and then we need to troubleshoot and find what the fault is. It's one important aspect of a computer work. You must be able to troubleshoot and then find out what the problem is, and with that you will be able to clear the fault, whatever the fault is. And so that is what we want to learn. We want to learn the knowledge of how to do this, how to clear faults, errors, faults on the computer system. That is what we are learning right now this afternoon. So I invite you all to please follow along as we discuss this together. All right. So I invite you all to follow along in the discussion. If you have questions, you can please type it onto the chat box. I will be checking the chat box from time to time to see the question there, so that we can discuss it together. Now, let us bear in mind the first thing that computer faults can be two parts, or sometimes three parts. It can be three parts. One can be hardware faults, hardware. Another one can be software. And then we can have networking faults, networking. Now, when we say hardware fault can be when any of the hardware of the computer system has a problem. For instance, we have several aspects, hardware in the computer system, which include the motherboard, power supply unit, the RAM, the optical drive, various parts of the motherboard, various attachments like adapter cards that are attached to the motherboard, and so on. All of them can develop a fault. In fact, sometimes the fault can be external to the system unit. For instance, the mouse, the keyboard can have a problem also. So when any of these issues take place, we need to troubleshoot and find out what the problem is. We need to troubleshoot. Likewise, there could be software problem too. The system might malfunction due to software problem. Sometimes the system may develop faults due to the fact that it has been infected with a worm, virus, a malware, or what have you. These are issues that can come up that we need to troubleshoot and find out what the problem is. All right. Likewise, the problem can be networking problem. It can be networking problem. The problem might be due to the network. the cabling or connectivity, the network connectivity it can be. All right. Okay, so like I said, the problem can be various: hardware, software, networking. Computer problems can come from any of these three or a combination of this. Any two can combine to cause a problem for the computer system. So these are problems that can arise. All right. So we want to pay attention to some of the problems that we can have on the computer system and try as much as possible to troubleshoot. The way to troubleshoot, and solve the problem. Okay. Briefly, let us talk about a software problem. The software problem can be as a result of computer has been working for so long, and the software is now having problem because of fragmentation. The software can get fragmented on the hard drive. And so when this happens, we need to carry out what is called defragmentation. Computer defragmentation. Defragmentation of the computer system, is a simple way by which we can make the software work again if the problem that arises is actually due to fragmentation of the software stored on the hard drive. So we have problem of fragmentation. So to correct the problem of fragmentation, we need to carry out disk defragmentation. Disk defragmentation. It's called disk defragmentation or defrag. The computer system, the operating system, has an inbuilt mechanism to carry out defrag. Sometimes you discover that your computer is having problem. It's just performing in an unusual way, not the usual manner, probably very slow, dragging, and you know that this system has not been infected with any virus or malware or worms, but the system is not performing well. Then it may be time for you to carry out defragmentation. Defragmentation may be able to solve the problem. Also, another way by which you can also carry out software maintenance may be through restore. We can restore. Defragmentation, restore. Then protection using antivirus, which is maybe anti-malware, and so on. These are various ways by which we can carry out software maintenance. All right? As it is, we can carry out these 3 steps to get rid of a software problem sometimes. Yes. So we will talk about these problems a little bit more, one by one, before we go to other aspects. Okay. So first of all, let's look at defragmentation. Disk defragmentation. Disk defragmentation can be carried out on a system when you discover that the system behaves in an unusual way, keeps dragging, when you open file, it takes a lot of time. Your computer begins to roll and roll and roll, and then the file is not being opened on time. Okay, so the computer becomes unusually slow. So you can begin to think of defragmentation at this point. I think you are with me. You can begin to think of disk defragmentation at this point. Yes. And what happens in this defragmentation is this. The computer system has a primary storage, which is the hard drive, where the software, all the software are being stored permanently. Okay? So, after working for so long time, the hard drive storing the software may be fragmented because there are many sectors on the hard drive, and the software can be broken into several pieces, and the pieces are now stored in various areas, various locations on the hard drive. So for that reason, at this point we say the software becomes fragmented. It has become fragmented. Okay? So if it becomes fragmented, then the next thing is to look for a way to, defragment them, to bring them together so that they work better. All right? Okay? And that is when we carry out the disk defragmentation. Disk defragmentation. Okay? So this defragmentation is just a simple thing that you carry out using the operating system. That's a function on the operating system with which you carry out the disk defragmentation. You carry out the disk defragmentation using the function of the operating system. So to carry out the fragmentation, you actually use the operating system. Your operating system itself will be needed to carry out defragmentation. Disk defragmentation, or for short, defrag, will be carried out by the operating system. So what you need to do is to go to the start button, click on start, and then what you do is to search for defragmentation. Then the operating system will take you to where this is, kept. The section of the operating system where this defragmentation is kept. So you click on the drive, which is usually drive C of the computer, and you begin the defragmentation. Now, when you carry out this defragmentation, what the computer does is this. The computer begins to search for all various sectors of the hard drive, looking for all the software installed, and searching for anyone that might have been fragmented, and looking for various locations where the fragments have been kept, and then the operating system brings them back to their rightful position, storing them as they should be stored, as if you are just installing them right now. So when the computer does that, what you now have is that the software that we are using on the computer becomes together once again. They come together once again, and then they can function the way it's supposed to be. All right? I believe you can hear me. So please give this lecture a thumb up, give us a like, and then share the video also. Share the video. If you can hear me, chat with me that you can hear me in this live class. Okay. All right. So this defragmentation will be carried out by the operating system itself, looking for all the various sectors where the software is kept, and then try to bring them back together. When they are now brought back together, it's now place them at the right position on the hard drive in the proper sectors. And this takes the computer a lot of time to do. All right? It takes the computer a lot of time to do. So when you want to do disk defragmentation, you must be sure that there is steady power supply. You connect the system to power supply. You don't rely, for instance, if you are using a laptop, you don't rely on the battery of the laptop, because a simple computer, that have about that has, let's say, 500 gig hard drive, and is being used for several years. We have a lot of files kept on the hard drive. If you want to do this defragmentation for such a system, it can take 4 hours, 5 hours before that is completed. So for that reason, when you want to carry out disk defragmentation, you need steady power supply. Steady power supply. Steady power supply. Very important for disk defragmentation. It takes a lot of time to carry out, but when it has been carried out, you find out that the computer will be, as it's running, the computer will be restarting itself, for refreshing file, restarting, refreshing, on and on and on. Then it tells you that it's running the process. It will not turn off, and then power must not fail at this point. So it continues to run and run and run and run, and when it's completed, when you now go back to the system, you now discover that your computer comes out as a newly installed operating system, as new. Now what you discover at this point is that before you click something on the system, fast, very sharp, it will open, because the system has been restored in a special way by disk defragmentation. So that is one important way by which we can carry out software maintenance on the computer. We can use disk defragmentation to carry it out. Now, some people that don't have the knowledge of the computer can bring their computer system to you as a knowledgeable technician, to help them to take care of it. All right. Now when they bring it to you, they complain, my computer is doing this, I turn it on, when I click a file, it takes a lot of time before it opens, it does this, it does that, but I have antivirus, there's nothing wrong with my antivirus, my system does not have a virus. Okay, so what do? You quickly think of disk defragmentation. So you carry out this defragmentation for the person. You ask the person to come and collect the system. Why? You know what you are going to do, that you are going to carry out disk defragmentation. When you do it, it can take a lot of time to run actually, but when it's completed, the computer comes out as new, as if you just installed the operating system. All right. So when you click something, you want to open a file, quickly it opens. So fast it opens. And then when the person comes back, you tell them, check this computer now. You can try it. You can try using your computer. The person will be so happy. But to you, you know that you have not actually done anything serious. It is actually the operating system that does the job for you. But you you bill the person and collect money for doing that because of the knowledge that you have applied. So this defragmentation is one important way by which we can carry out software maintenance. So today I said I'm going to discuss about software maintenance. It's very important, software maintenance. There are other areas by which you can carry out other methods of software maintenance, other aspects of software maintenance. I made mention of disk defragmentation, restore, use of antivirus and anti-malware. These are various ways by which we carry out software maintenance. Okay? So, let's look at another aspect of software maintenance. And now we are going to talk about restore. System restore. It is called system restore. Okay? System restore. We are still talking on software maintenance. Now I want to talk about restore. System restore. For system restore, system restore. For system restore, it's another trick that you carry out on the system using the operating system. It's a trick. You allow the operating system to carry out the trick for you, and then some error, some problem that your computer may have will be resolved. All right? Don't forget to give us a like in this live class. Give us a like. So give us a like. Click like as you are, following. Let us see that you are following. Give us a like on this live lecture. All right? So let's talk about system restore. What is system restore? Okay. You are using your computer was working fine, and then you discover that suddenly the computer started misbehaving. It started, doing the way it was not doing before. Okay? The way it was not doing before. Okay. So, what do? You try to do system restore. For example, you are using your computer since previous days till like 2 days ago. Now 2 days ago, you use your system to do something, and perhaps in the course of doing that, probably online, or you are transferring file, you are using external drive on your system, maybe collected from someone, you discover that your system was infected like 2 days ago. Now probably you have an antivirus, but your antivirus has not detected the problem. Or perhaps your antivirus is not updated, or you don't even have an antivirus at all. What do you do? At this instance, a system restore can help you fix the problem. It can easily help you to fix the problem, and it is the operating system that actually does it for you. You don't do anything. The operating system is employed to carry out system restore. Okay? Now, operating system will carry it out based on dates. Date is important. Date is important. Alright? So you try to recollect what you did, and the time you did that, the day you did that your system was infected. You realize that, it is 2 days ago. 3 days ago, my system was still fine. But 2 days ago, I did something on this system. I used external drive. I collected something. I connected my system to the internet, and in the process of visiting some website, that is when my system was infected. So you try to recollect the date when the system started malfunctioning based on software issue. So what you now do is to employ system restore to restore your computer to a previous date before the date the system was infected. So you can restore your system, say, to 3 days ago, if you realize that it's 2 days ago that your system was infected. So you go to your computer menu, go to start bar, then go to type system restore. Then the operating system has a section developed for that particular purpose. Then it will ask you the date you want to restore that your computer to. It asks you the date. Alright, so what do? You carry your system and put a date. Let's say 2 days ago, let's say your system was still fine on the 5th of September 2023. Then you realize that from the 6th of September 2023, the system started malfunctioning till date. So when you want to carry out system restore, you employ the operating system to carry out your system restore for you to at least on the 5th or on the 4th. Everything that the computer does is keeping its own personal in-house record. Every work that you do is taking record, is monitoring what you are doing and keeping it safe, by means of the operating system. So it's monitoring the date, the hour you are doing work on the system, and it's being kept safe for you. So for you to do the system restore, you employ the system restore to restore your system to a previous date when the system was functioning well. But a word of caution. There is a word of caution. When you restore your system to a previous date, everything that took place from that date till the present, date will be cleaned off, will be wiped out. Whether it's correct job that you saved, infection like worm, malware, virus that came into the system, everything that came into the system will be wiped out, and you will not be able to see the record any longer. That is what the operating system will do in the system restore. So when you want to do system restore, you must take care to actually see that every work that you have done since the date you want to restore to till date is kept safe by using an external device to save it externally to the computer system. So when you save it externally to the computer system, you are sure that you have saved everything needed between the last date till date. Every job that you have kept, you save it external to the computer using an external drive. Then you will command the system to restore to a previous date. Alright? When you restore to a previous date, every error that came in from that date to date, every infection that came in, every virus that came in, every malware that came in, the system will look for them and clean all of them away. They are all wiped away. It wiped the slate from this date till date. Wiped anything that you did, wiped it out. They are wiped clean. And that is what system restore does. And your system will be taken back to the date when it was functioning well, and it begins from that point again to begin to function as it was on that day. But every job done after that day till date will be cleaned away unless you have saved it externally through an external device. So that is the way the system restore functions. That is the way system restore functions. Okay. All right. So that is the way we can use the operating system again to carry out system maintenance. We use it to carry out system maintenance. This is the second method now. We have mentioned the disk defragmentation. We have mentioned system restore. System restore also takes some time to run and finish on your system. It takes some time, reasonably long time, but not as long as disk defragmentation. Not as long as disk defragmentation. All right. Okay. So after system restore, what other one can we use? We can also actually use anti-malware maintenance to correct software problem in our system. If you don't use anti-malware, one day your system will be infected with virus, and that may cause a lot of issue. So we need to employ antivirus or anti-malware. But using antivirus and anti-malware requires very good knowledge in order for it to be effective. If you don't use it the right way, the antivirus will be there, but the virus, the malware, the worm, the trojans will still come in. All the errors will still come into your system. So that is why we need to discuss what is needed to be done when we use antivirus on the system. Okay. Generally, we use the term antivirus for infections such as malware, worms, trojans, and so on. There are more. There could be phishing attack. All these are software problem that can cause, issues with our computer system. So we need a very good antivirus. Usually antivirus carries various programs that work against all of these. A very good antivirus will have, a comprehensive package that carries, software that detect all of this and take care of them. Now, what is needed when you use antivirus? What do we need to know? Number one, your antivirus must be original. It must be EOM, like they used to say, original supply by, a software company. You must not use the pirated type. If you use the pirated type, what happens is this: the pirated type will not be able to detect, viruses as it should. Sometimes you may not be able to be updated from this website of the original supplier. Okay? So that is why we need to use the original antivirus. Now, when you have the antivirus installed, immediately you finish the installation, there's a work to be done. The work is that you must update the antivirus. The virus definition files of the antivirus must be updated. Why is this necessary? It is necessary because the antivirus you purchase and you install today must have been produced, say, last week, 2 weeks ago, 1 month ago, 3 months ago, or 6 months ago, or even 1 year ago. Now, if it is so, even if it's last week or 2 weeks ago, there could have been new viruses that came into the cyberspace within this period. And what happened is that your installed antivirus that was produced 2 weeks ago will not be able to detect them because it will not see the virus definition file. Virus definition file. It will not have the definition file to detect the new viruses or worms that have just been, released into the cyberspace. For that reason, you must update the antivirus immediately you finish installation. And that tells you one thing, that to use antivirus, you need internet network. Internet must be there because you will update the virus definition files on the website of the supplier. So, to use the antivirus correctly, you must have internet connectivity. So immediately you finish installation, you must update the antivirus. Afterwards, even though the antivirus has been updated today and it is original one, you need to keep on updating it once per week, once per week. That is the only way, in which you can be sure that your original antivirus is actually working as it should. You must update it once per week. It means your internet connection must be good. All right? Apart from that, what else is needed? What else is needed is that using antivirus is not just that I install it and it's okay, I continue to use it like forever. No. You need to carry out system maintenance using your antivirus. How do you do that? From time to time, you ask the virus to scan your system for you. Usually, you will need to scan the entire system. If by chance some worms, virus, malware entered into the system and they escape the notice of the antivirus that you install, then during the time you now carry out system scan, then your antivirus will be able to detect them and neutralize them. This is also important. If you don't do the scanning regularly, from time to time, you may have antivirus installed, but it's not detecting viruses. Virus still infects your system and it's still causing system problem. There are various issues that can come up when your system is infected by any of these. Some can be catastrophic. Some can be so brutal. Some can prevent you from using your system. Some worms are like that you will not be able to use your system because of the infection of any of these. Some may be so dangerous that they steal your information, especially some Trojan horses. They steal your information. Okay? They steal your information, your financial record, and so on and so forth can be stolen. So that is why you need to keep your system safe by using antivirus. And the antivirus must be kept up to date, regularly updated, and then you must regularly scan your computer system. Your computer system must be scanned. All right. So I can see that you people are now here with me. I want everybody to give a like to this live lecture. Give us more than this. We have only 3 likes. Give us thumb up. Let's have some like to this live lecture. Okay. And if anybody has a question, you are permitted to type your question. Okay, I see a question here. How do we know that our antivirus is a pirated one before installing it? Fine. An original antivirus does not go for cheap money. For instance, you go to the Lagos in Nigeria, you went to Computer Village, you say you want to buy antivirus. You say, how much is this antivirus? They say, it's 250 naira or 500 naira. My brother, my sister, if anybody tells you antivirus is 500 naira, know that it is pirated, it is fake, it is not original. A very good antivirus costs money. It will cost you nothing less than 5,000 or more. So when you have a pirated one, it will be so cheap. And some of these pirated ones, they are actually the free version that has been downloaded from the website of the owner. And the free version is not going to do the real job. It's going to do only, let's say, 10% of the job that you are supposed to do on your system. You want to protect your system maybe for 10% of what is needed. Because it is free version. It is not the premium. The premium costs money. Because the people that produce it, they sat down, they spent a lot of resources to achieve, what will detect viruses in your system. So for that reason, it costs money. So you must know that when you are buying. Another way you can know what you are buying is to go to the recognized suppliers, recognized computer geeks. Walk into there and ask them to give you the original. They will give you in package, and you will see the difference between the ordinary DVD drive that you buy by the roadside. You will see the package, the pack that comes with the original software, and they tell you it costs money. They tell you this is how much it is, and you yourself will know that this one cannot be fake because of the money, because of the outlet where you are getting it from, and the costs. So these are various ways by which you can know that your antivirus is not fake. Again, when you want to install it, if it is fake, sometimes it does not communicate with the website of the owner. And again, you don't have key, you don't have original key. When you are installing a software, usually they give you activation key. But for the pirated one, you don't have the key. You don't have the activation key, the original activation key. And most of this software we install these days, when you finish installation, you have to visit the website of the owner and use the key to unlock the software given to you. When you are using a pirated copy, you may not have that. And definitely you will know that it is fake. It is not the original. So these are various ways by which you can detect that this software I'm using, this antivirus, is actually fake. So that is how it is. So I think Akindele, you got that. Now, if you have any other question on any part that we have discussed, please type your question before I move on to the next. So today we are talking about computer hardware maintenance. But right now, we are dealing with software maintenance. All right. Software maintenance. That's what we are dealing with. Before we move on to hardware, we are dealing with software maintenance. Okay. All right. So the operating system has powerful, functions that can actually be used to do, troubleshooting and maintenance for certain aspects. And we have mentioned that today. We have made mention of the disk defragmentation. We have made mention of system restore. All these are functions in the operating system. There are other various functions in the settings. If you visit the settings of your computer, you can roll back some driver, reinstall them to do system maintenance. Sometimes some of your hardware stop working. And what is the reason? The reason is that they cannot locate the driver. The software driver suddenly got missing. And then you go to your system to identify the hardware that is faulty, that is malfunctioning, and try to locate the driver. The driver can still be inside the operating system, installed on your system. So you ask the system, using the function of the operating system also, to look for the driver and reinstall it. Sometimes you do rollback driver, reinstall driver, These are other areas by which you can carry out software maintenance. All right? Software maintenance is very, very important. Very, very important, because the hardware may be there, useless. They be made useless if there is no software to run them. The hardware cannot work on its own in a computer system unless there is software with which it can communicate, to operate effectively. So that is why software maintenance is also important. All right. Okay. So we've discussed defragmentation. These are the 3 points we discussed so far. Defrag, restore, antivirus or anti-malware. These are the various, the 3 aspects we have discussed so far. Defrag can take a lot of time, 4 hours, 5 hours, sometimes more than that, before it's carried out. But after it's carried out, your system becomes so new. System becomes what? So new. It works perfectly. Now, there's other aspects of system software maintenance that I want to discuss, and that's the 4th one. Maybe after that, then we move on to another aspect. That aspect is about software updates. Software updates. And then sometimes we talk about Windows updates. Okay? OS updates. That is what I have in mind. OS updates. Now, the operating system supplier, they usually supply the updates, and when they supply the updates, it has to be installed. And sometimes they supply what we call service pack. These are part of the software updates. So, okay, service packs. These are part of the updates that the operating system receives from time to time from the original software developer, especially the Microsoft. Even our small smartphones that we carry up and down like this, if you want it to be very effective, what you need to do is from time to time check the system function where there is update to your operating system. If you are using an Android, from time to time the supplier, they produce updates to your software. The particular one you are using on your phone, we have an update. So the best thing, if you want your phone, your mobile phone or tablet to run perfectly, is to install the update. This tool can take a lot of time, it can take a lot of data to do, but after the update is carried out, you will discover that your device comes out back as new, as if you just purchased it now. That is what an update does. The same thing is done with the computer operating system. The supplier, Microsoft operating system, they supply update to them from time to time. When they want to stop, supporting a particular OS, they will make an announcement. They will make it public that from so date, we are not going to supply updates for this operating system. So the user should find their way. It means you must migrate away from that operating system to higher, level. Okay, that's what it means. So when there's an update available for your operating system, what you need to do is to update the operating system. So and you discover that Windows 10, for instance, usually have a lot of updates. So when you are using Windows 10, you must be regularly, updating it, and you must ensure that you have internet, while using Windows 10 operating system. Windows 10 operating system has a lot of updates. Now, older OS such as Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows Vista, Microsoft has stopped, supporting those ones. They are not providing updates any longer. But for Windows 10, I think Windows 8 and Windows 10, they still have support from the supplier, Microsoft. Now, why do we need to carry out updates? Why does Microsoft from time to time supply updates to operating system? That's a reason. They discover from time to time there are loopholes that hackers or those that have ulterior motives can use to penetrate the software remotely. And so when these are discovered, when they have loopholes, areas, lapses in the software where, there could be infiltration of your system, then they need to develop software to block those loopholes. So when they have developed that software, they will release it as an update to your Windows operating system. And what you do is to install the update to actually get your system secured at this point. And sometimes they discover errors in the operating system. Minor errors sometimes, and they discover that, this thing is happening this way, this is not supposed to be. So they will rewrite the aspect of that software and release it to you as an update. When they release it as an update, you install it to help your system to install these new patches that correct errors, that correct flaws in the operating system. So that is why when update is released, don't just ignore, don't say I don't have data. You must have the internet to update your software. And you discover that after updating, many times after updating, your computer becomes new again. It is renewed, okay? It is renewed. So it's important. That's the fourth area by which you can carry out software maintenance, installing operating system. There is Update Center on the Windows operating system that you can navigate from your menu bar. If you click Start, you can type Updates. Then it gives you suggestions where you go and click those areas. Then it takes you to Windows the center where you can do updates. Another area that is important in software. Maintenance is the Windows diagnostics. You can use Windows diagnostics to detect errors on your computer system. You can use Windows diagnostics, okay, to carry out software maintenance. All right. Okay. So these are various ways by which we can carry out software maintenance. All right. These are various ways by which we can carry out software maintenance. Okay. So if you can hear me, please type it that you can still hear me. Type it into the chat. Let me see that you can hear me loud and clear. And also, if you have question, type your question. Type your question to show that you can hear, you want me to answer. Type the question. I will gladly attend to the question. All right. So I will check what your question is. All right. So this is disk defragmentation. Defragmentation. Okay, I've not seen your question. Please type your question. I've not seen any question here. If you can hear me, please type it. Let me see that you can hear me. Type it that you can hear me. All right. Okay. So we move ahead now to discuss various steps needed in carrying out maintenance and repair. Steps needed. When you receive a system that have a problem, you must be able to identify what the problem is. Could it be software issue, hardware problem, networking, or a combination of any of this? You must be able to detect that. So you'll be able to now figure out how to solve it. So what you do is to ask the owner, the customer, some questions that will help you to figure out what the problem is, where the problem is coming from. Okay? You must ask questions, and we can ask open-ended question and then close-ended question. Don't forget, open-ended question, they are questions that you ask somebody and then you expect the person to explain, to tell you information from their mind. Then from the information you pick one or two things that will help you to direct your attention to where the problem is. Then close-ended question, they are questions that you ask that you don't want the person to explain anything, but to give you a short answer, yes or no. For example, can the system boot? The answer will be yes or no. That's a close-ended question. Or can you print from this system? Yes or no. Does your computer have a Wi-Fi switch? Yes or no. These are close-ended questions. But when you ask somebody, last time when you tried to print, what happened? The person will explain. That's an open-ended question. Open-ended question, they elicit explanation, explanation from the customer. Whereas close-ended question, they are questions that you just, want a yes or no. So these questions will help you. Both open-ended questions and close-ended questions will help you to direct your mind to the right position where the problem is coming from. Then you try to establish a theory of probable causes. And then you can list these probable causes. You can list the probable causes down. List them down. What do you think the problem may be? And when you list them, you also try and see the one that are, big issues and minor issues. You identify them differently. Now, after you have established a theory of probable causes, what else do you need to do? You need to also begin to test the theory to see whether it is this one or that. And how do you test? You start from the smallest one, from the simplest. You try to test from the simplest, the one that you think is the least. For example, if somebody say, my system cannot print from my printer, the problem can be many. So you need to troubleshoot. The problem can be that the printer does not have a driver on the system. The driver may not be installed. It may be as simple as there is no paper from that printer. It may be as simple as, or as tough as the cable connecting the printer to the system is faulty, is broken. It's broken, so there is no communication between the printer and the system. And the problem can be even the power cable to that printer is faulty, is broken. So you now list all these probable causes, list them one by one, and try to resolve them from the list. You go for the one that is the simplest out of these probable causes and begin to resolve it. Okay, could it be that the cable that connects power to this printer is faulty? So you go and look for a good cable, remove the cable that was there and connect it. Or could it even be that there is no power in the socket outlet, the power outlet there, the mains? So you ensure that there's power there by connecting a working device, another working device into that socket, and see that it's supplying power to the device. By that, you eliminate the probable cause that, oh, power is not being supplied by these outlets. So like that, you begin to eliminate all these small problems. And you may be fortunate, out of these small problems, it may be one of them responsible for the faults. So you will not need to, begin to change driver, to update drivers, to begin to open the printer, open the system when it is not needed. You begin from the small reasons that can cause the problem. And that is the way to go. All right. After testing the theory, you must now establish a plan of action to resolve the situation. Establish a plan of action. You've seen what the fault is. You have identified the fault. Then you establish a plan of action. That is, okay, this system does not have a driver installed for this printer. How do we get the driver? Can we go to the website to install the driver, the website of the printer manufacturer, or can we have a disk, containing the driver? Can we get the disk somewhere and install it? You are establishing, a plan to resolve the problem. All right. Now, after you have done that, you now test for system functionality. Test for system functionality. In the course of you clearing these faults on the system, you might inadvertently cause another fault to the system. And that is why you need to test for system functionality. All the functions of the system that it was doing before, can it still do it today? For instance, it can browse, it can print, it can play music, it can watch video, it can do so many things. You test all those aspects to ensure that everything you did does not tamper with the functionality of the system. So you verify full system functionality. Sometimes when you open a system and you are fixing things on the hardware, you may run into the problem of tampering with other hardware and causing them to malfunction. So that is why you need to test for full system functionality and ensure that everything is in order before you hand over the system to the owner. Then lastly, you must take record. You must take a record of everything you carry out. You must log it down. You must have a logbook where you record those things. The parts you change, how you got the parts, how you identify. Is it 2 days, 3 days, even 1 week or 2 weeks? You must take a record, make a record of everything. So that is keeping good record for your, troubleshooting and maintenance. So far, so good. We have learned a lot in the computer hardware maintenance, but today it's actually a software maintenance that was discussed fully. So in another class, we are going to discuss the hardware maintenance. So right now, we are gradually bringing the class to a close for today. So thank you very much for joining. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel and like and share the lecture. So if you have any question, please ask your question. I can see someone remaining. So can you type your name, you that is here? Type your name on the screen. Let me see your name. I want to know who is connected to the end. Please type your name. I want to know your name. I'm waiting for you. Type your name. Can you hear me? Let me give you a few seconds to do that before I end the lecture. So type your name. I want to see your name. Type your name. Are you there? Okay. So if you can hear me, type your name. Let us go. All right. So that is how we come to the end of the lecture. Bye.